We've got a couple of controversial SBC leaks actually that some people were not too happy about, and kind of rightfully so in my opinion, but there is actually a pretty big SBC leak / objective right now that we're going to go and look at too. That could be kind of interesting. We've got some gameplay exploits today that kind of were going viral a bit. People were finding out about these crazy passes you can make that are completely unrealistic, and you'll see the video and it's pretty ridiculous. If you guys would like to buy coins, you can go to mmoxp.com. There will be a link in the description down below. They are the cheapest and the safest option. You can use my code JFC at checkout for an 8% discount. EA have patched the co-op glitch now. That is no longer a thing for the Mycon objective, and also we have Player of the Month SBCs that have been confirmed today, and hey, guess what? Exactly what we thought would happen happened. But okay, and of course, thank you all for being here as always, and also, if you guys in the comments want to let me know where you're watching from, I always love reading where you guys are watching from in the comments, so wherever you're from, let me know, and also let me know your street address and your social security number as well. But I also wanted to bring up quickly before we get into leaks and stuff like that. Apparently this icon pick is not base icons. I believe that I can't read it here, but it's not base icons at all, and people have said that it's pretty damn good. I saw somebody earlier today get a pick of Pele and R9, both their promo versions, so I've heard good things about it. If you guys have taken it, and what did you guys get in there? If you guys could let me know. And when you get there though, it's just hard taking that when you have an 87/10, which is like a crazy, probably one of the biggest packs that they've released yet this year, or a Firmino that looks pretty damn good. So I don't know, it's tempting to do the icon pick until you get shafted, and it's really not worth it at all, because you can just do an 87/10, get nothing, then do an icon pick anyway. But this pick is different than the one that's in the SBCs right now, so just wanted to quickly kind of highlight that. Now also, before we get into the controversial SBC leaks that we've gotten, some of the exploits and stuff like that, we just got this leak that came out a couple hours ago here, and that was Rafinha coming as a World Tour player. Now usually the World Tour players, they can be SBCs. It's happened before, but most of the time they're in objectives of some kind. Now I'd still lean towards SBC because the Brazil season expires in like 14 days. So what objective exactly would come out where it would only be a week's time? Maybe like a draft objective, but would they put a card like Rafinha in a draft objective? I would doubt it. So I don't know. I would lean towards SBC here for sure, but it's still hard to like narrow it down exactly. We won't know until it comes out probably. And the stats I don't believe are official anywhere, because AC has these, or sorry, Sheriff has these stats right there with finesse and technical, and then AC has these stats here. So I'm assuming nobody knows them yet. So yeah, it's kind of exciting. And random side note, hypothetically, if the season ended today, like what would Rafinha's rating be next year? I kind of wonder that. What's he, 84 this year? What rating would he be? How much would he go up for FC 26, which sounds crazy to say. But then we speculated in yesterday's video that Kolo Muani wasn't in the team. It's now confirmed he will be an SBC. No confirmed stats anywhere yet, but this is where the controversy sort of began, because for one, it's EA doing that thing again where one of the better cards in an Evo is now an SBC immediately after, right? So that was kind of having some people annoyed and stuff like that. Wasn't a huge percentage of people caring that much, but once again, they did do that again here immediately after dropping a good Evo. Now, where the controversy began was down here, because if we keep scrolling down, we got a Mateta SBC leak, and the stats look like this. So another French striker immediately, and then they has this stats. So we're still releasing cards right now with one playstyle plus, and yes, he's 88 rated, so we'll fit into many Evos here, but it feels like this card is only being released to basically hopefully take up someone's Evo slot. Like that's all this card is doing. This is just purely an evolution card and nothing else. And that was where the debate started today. It's like, okay, EA are clearly releasing cards now just to go straight into Evos, and like there's no other purpose for them. And honestly, it kind of annoyed me as well, because I saw Mateta and I'm like, oh great, like that's gonna be an awesome card probably. We don't usually get great Mateta cards in FIFA, and I know we can Evo him, right? I know we can do that, but I don't know, maybe we're all kind of getting a little ahead of ourselves. Maybe it's a good thing when more striker Evos come out and you got better options potentially, but it feels like we're getting more of these. And what do you guys think about that? It's kind of the whole controversy today regarding this SBC. Now, of course, there was actually more controversy too, because you'll never guess what happened. 2 Player of the Month winners were announced today, and it was not who people were expecting to win it. The first one, people thought Hansen was the favorite, quote unquote. Remember that tweet we looked at? She was the favorite apparently. Not even close. Monday wins it. And people in the replies, besides making Monday jokes, which I probably should have made, and I kind of missed my opportunity already, but we're like, what? Hansen didn't win it? It's like, no, she wasn't even close. And unfortunately, guess what happened as well? This one actually was a bit closer. Anthony did not win Player of the Month. It was Sansei, who we thought might win it yesterday. So not controversial for us, because, you know, we kind of dig into things more than just reading a headline off a tweet of some fucking bozo. But yeah, so 2 Player of the Month winners today, unfortunately, are not who we were hoping would be winning it, or at least the consensus we're hoping would be winning it. So that was controversial today too, but it wasn't. Like, it wasn't at all. And it once again shows you, though, not a single person voted Sansei. Probably not, but honestly, the voting just doesn't mean anything, guys. The voting is pretty much useless. It's like that for team of the season. It's like that for all player of the month. It's like that for team of the year. I mean, it just doesn't matter what. They're going to pick who they want to at the end of the day. And just keep that in mind for all of the future. The votes just, they don't mean much. And there were complaints as well about how many France SBCs there's been recently. Now, keep in mind, Dembele is not a favorite to win player of the month. Like, it'd be a while, too, for him to actually come out. But yeah, Colomwani, Mateta, Dean, Mendy, and Conte. I mean, yeah, a lot of French guys, but also they're just releasing what is in demand. Like, I'm sure they look at their numbers and see how many people complete SBCs, and they see French players are completed at a ridiculously high rate, and they're like, okay, well, we're just giving you what you want. It would be my guess there. But I don't know. We complain about literally everything, so but today, this is today's outrage, apparently. But I do think this card is dumb. Like, why? Like, why release this card, though? The France part doesn't necessarily bother me as much as just the card itself. Like, that's just, come on, what are we doing? We do have some official stats as well from his fantasy team, and Matisse Tell actually has the exact stats, I believe, that his leaked Future Stars card had. I think it was Future Stars, right? I think he was leaked in that promo. Whatever the last promo he was leaked in, I think this is the exact same card, I want to say. First touch and finesse plus even too. So he's in the promo team, not an SBC like it was leaked to be for the last promo, but Tell looks ridiculous in there. But okay, now on to the gameplay exploits, and let's turn up the quality here so you guys can watch this, and it's all of its brilliance. Actually, it's only 480p. Okay, never mind. There's this pass today, TS7 boosting. They're like a weekend league service where you pay them and they like play your weekend league games, right? There's this pass going around today. Let's actually just zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better that you can make with your center back. I believe it's your center back, right? Yep. And that, I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. The striker's in on goal, heads it over and scores. This was going around today. There's another one too that, well, actually, there's a second clip right there. Look at that pass right there. That is nonsense. But watch this shit again. I mean, come on, bro. So apparently it's like an R1L1 square ball, and it's just that, like, I don't know. I mean, this is ridiculous that we're even possibly contemplating on even doing this. Here's another clip in slightly better quality, like a first time. I mean, look at that pass. I mean, come on, guys. The fact that people are doing these is so ridiculous. And TS7 boosting, I mean, it just gives you all the tutorials apparently if you want to do these passes. But of course, the most viral tweet around this today was like, if you're doing this, you are the problem, not the game, not EA. You are the problem. And then Wasteful Blimp goes that step further. He's like, if you do these crazy mechanics, you have some sort of void in your life. Like, you cannot be a normal human being, get on the game to play like this. There's no way. Y'all are weird. And of course, TS7 boosting is like, you know, EA made it this way, not me. I'm just showing people what works on the game or whatever. And I understand that point of view as well. Like, it's difficult to blame people who are just taking advantage of what's in the game. But at the same time, we have all of the right in the world to call you a fucking weirdo for doing some of these passes, right? It's kind of always been my thought behind it. Like, how do you stop people from doing these when they're obviously going to do this just to get their best rewards or whatever like that? They got to feed their addictions, right? Obviously, we got to get the best rewards possible. And, you know, we might do that by doing these crazy, unrealistic passes. Now, we still reserve the right to absolutely clown you if you do this, though. So, I don't know. It is weird. It does suck to see people doing things like this. In fact, people have found stuff like this, but it's part of the game. We're playing for rewards that are tied to people's addictions and stuff like that. They'll do anything to get there. And this guy's right. You know, these pages constantly complain about the 4213 or gameplay being bad. And we see shit like this. Like, I mean, come on. We're only making the problem way worse by adding things like this into the game. So it is definitely like a nuanced topic, but I think we all can agree, like, let's not, like, what if we just didn't do this? Can we all just agree not to fucking play like idiots and just try and play the game as much as we can? Like, I don't know, normal human beings. Okay, on to the EA Directs tweet now. Not much to say other than they just patched the co-op glitch, so no need to worry about turning co-op off if you didn't want to play co-op, guys, a lot. The Fantasy League glitch has been patched now, which is kind of surprising it took this long, considering it was like, I think it was 2 full days when the tweet started coming out to then this patch coming. So you wonder, I guess, why it took so long if they really didn't want it to be a thing, but I don't know. It's patched now. And I thought we get the next update yesterday on Tuesday. Turns out that wasn't the case. It's probably going to be this coming Tuesday. And also, if you guys are not familiar with like a lot of the career mode sentiment around the game right now, career mode fans really don't like the gameplay because they obviously nerfed headers into the ground, as we know, for Ultimate Team, and that also is now in the career mode. And obviously in career mode, that kind of sucks because headers are extremely realistic. Now, that causes a bit of a divide between what the Ultimate Team fans want and the career mode fans want. That's why it kind of feels like we do need to go in separate directions a bit. And of course, I even think Ultimate Team fans, like, scoring headers is like really hard right now. Even Ultimate Team fans don't love that aspect, but definitely don't want to be overpowered because we've seen what that's like too. So I got to find that balance. But career mode fans want an update badly. Like, Infinity FC is like a career mode kind of guy, or covers it a lot. Many of the replies and people talking about career mode are talking about how much they don't like the gameplay right now. So it's interesting to see where EA will go with that divide, right? Because Ultimate Team fans right now, we don't necessarily like the gameplay, but we like, I think most of us do, too, I believe. We like that it is trying to get faster, and I think that career mode fans don't like that. So that kind of divide of the directions is going to be interesting to see what happens there. But here's that pick, by the way, that R9 Pele pick I saw earlier. And people showed their other ones, like you got Mateus, Jairzinho, and Vieira here as well. So there are a lot of like really good picks you could have here. But once again, we talked about it. You're not going to see the ones on Twitter that are going to be bad. You'll see the great ones. And you can find them a lot on Twitter right now, though. And okay, also, guys, there were a ton of players added today to the game. Malen at Villa, Kvaratskhelia at PSG. Like almost all the transferred cards have been added now. There's Marmoush and Zaha and stuff. So check that out if you want to go and take a peek at that. But with the market, though, I think probably today after Rivals Rewards will be your best chance to buy the Fantasy FC cards. You want to go buy one for your team or go buy one as an investment even possibly if you think the team's going to do pretty well. One of my first investments in like a month, honestly, is this billing card. I bought like, I want to say 15 or 20 of these billings at about 38K. And I was like, I'm just doing it, bro. This card's insane. He gets more upgrades. It's going to be even more ridiculous. So I'm actually even investing myself right now, which I haven't done in a while. But yeah, if he drops back to that point again after Rivals Rewards, I'm going to go out and buy a bunch more. So what I also will say is if you want to try and snipe a player for the Fantasy Cup, it refreshes today. So maybe go and look at trying to snipe one before people are all trying to do it at the same time when the cup drops. So maybe that's what I would say you could also do today is go and try and find some of these extinct cards like Chiesa, or some of these other lower rated informs out there that are extinct right now. Maybe try and do that today because that comes back out. But what's going to be very, very interesting is seeing just how much some of these prices drop post that cup, because there's going to be some cards that really go down, like those Diaby cards. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens with these cards. And you need to, I mean, you're going to need to basically, if you have one of these tradable, sell them as fast as you can when you finish, because there's no point in holding on to this Diaby when the cup is done, because he's going to just drop immediately. When this cup is done, Diaby will drop half in price. So it's going to be a mad dash to sell these types of cards. So it'll be very interesting to see what the market looks like with these. And okay, let's read your comments now. We got Balaboom, who says, Weekend League 15 games are not too short. It's only during the weekend. Don't forget people have families, jobs, friends, and so on. Everyone cannot game 24/7 and play Weekend League 15 plus Squad Battles 12 plus Rivals 12 plus all the cup games. And you want more games in Weekend League? Good luck, sir. And no, I do not want more games in Weekend League. Definitely not. I think what I said yesterday is it's interesting that there's only 15 now, considering the rewards you get for it. And what I kind of meant by that is like, I wonder why EA wants to do that. Like they want to make it less games in Weekend League, but then you have to play more games in other modes. Does that make it fresher for us somehow if it's other modes? Or like what's the thought process behind 30 Weekend League games down to 15, but then just spread those games out in other game modes? Like I wonder if there's some sort of psychological thing where we're more inclined to stay on the game and not be bored if it's in other game modes, like to spice things up maybe. I was kind of trying to dive into more of the why, not like, oh, Weekend League 15 games, that's too, well, let's actually make it harder. Like we definitely don't want to do that, because yes, EA don't give a shit though about your family, jobs, friends, so on, because they need to create FOMO and get you to spend money on the game. They don't give a shit about that. But a real interesting comment here is from BIG, who basically has a multi-paragraph comment talking about how he's wondering, well, I should say he has this theory that since EA removed fitness cards from the game, he's wondering if they accidentally kept some of that in, and fitness actually does play a role still maybe. He says cards right away a lot of the time feel pretty damn good, and then afterwards, after a few games played, more and more it ends up they don't feel quite as responsive anymore. The old fitness system might still be buried deep in the game's code. When you first use a fresh card, it plays at its peak, but over time it slowly depletes until it hits an invisible zero fitness state. He does say it could be inconsistent gameplay or a psychological trigger, but to me it feels deeper than that. And knowing how careless they can be, I would not be surprised if this theory holds some truth. Now, this kind of theory I actually like more than a lot of theories, because it at least has been in the game before. We know it's been there. Is it accidentally left in? Possibly a little bit. Similar with the morale theory we used to have back in the day. I liked that theory because at least it was in the game at one point, right? We could feasibly assume that it would have just accidentally stayed in, and that theory I think would hold more credence than some other ones out there that have been out there for a while. So I'm not saying you're right and that it's still in there. I would probably lean it's not, but I do think it's an interesting theory for sure. There's also a piece to this where this has been a theory. If watch my iceberg video, my conspiracy iceberg video, I think one conspiracy that was in there was that EA actually start to nerf your cards after a while to try and get you to have to sell and buy other cards repeatedly, or go and try and change your team up and then spend FIFA points to change your team up maybe and stuff like that. that like they basically make your card intentionally worse over time in hopes that you need to change it a lot. And that would kind of play into that too, potentially, if you believed that theory. So there is some pieces of this that I like, and I do think this is pretty feasible if this was to be a thing. I just think that it's so inconsistent with the inconsistency. That's a big piece of this too, is that I feel like it would be more obvious if it was like cards are on 0 fitness and they would just continually be on 0 fitness forever. I think we'd probably notice it more, and that'd probably be a more consistent version of the bad gameplay. But I don't know, it's definitely interesting. What do you guys think about that, of course? And I think that's it for me. Thank you all for watching and being here. I love you, everyone. Peace.